Welcome to everyone. Today we shall discuss about completeness property of R. At first we need to know some preliminary parts. So throughout our discussion we assume that S is a subset of R, script R, that is set of all real numbers. So at first we discuss about upper bound of a set. So, a real number u is called an upper bound of a set S if u is greater or equal to every other member of S, that is u greater or equal to x for all x belongs to S. Next, lower bound of a set. Similarly, a real number L is said to be a lower bound of a set S if L is less than equal to every other member of the set. L less than equal to x for all x belongs to S. Next, when a set is called bounded above, so a set S, that is, this is our given set S. So S is called bounded above if S has an upper bound, and when a set S is called bounded below if S has a lower bound. Now, if a set S has upper bound as well as a lower bound, then we say that S is a bounded set. So, a set S is called a bounded set if it has an upper bound as well as a lower bound. Both exist. Now we come to example. So our first example is like this. Suppose that S is the set of all these elements 1 by n, where n is natural number, such that n belongs to script n, set of all natural numbers. That is, the set is 1, half, 1/3, 1/4 and so on. So we can see that here 1 is greater or equal to every member of S. Therefore, 1 is an upper bound of S and also 1 belongs to this set. Now, we can see also 0 is less than every member of S. So 0 is the lower bound. 0 is a lower bound of S, but here 0 does not belongs to S. So we can say that upper bound and lower bound may be belong to this set or never belong to this set. Next, also, if a set has an upper bound or lower bound, then that is, if upper bound exists, if one upper bound exists, then this set has infinitely many upper bound. Like here 1 is an upper bound, similarly 2 is an upper bound, 3 is an upper bound and so on. So if a set S has an upper bound, then there are infinitely many upper bounds of S. Similarly, or similar result hold in case of lower bound. Okay. Next example, suppose S is the set N, right? That is, S is the whole set N. Then what happens? The set is 1, 2, 3 and so on. So see, here we can say 1 is less than equal to every member of this set. That is, 1 is the lower bound of this set. 1 is a lower bound of S. 1 is a lower bound of S. And also 1 belongs to S. But can we get any member which is any real number which is greater than, which is greater equal to every member of this set? Suppose we get a member L and we claim that this L is an upper bound of this set. Then by the ordering of natural number, we can get this L plus 1. So, which is greater than L. So, this contradicts that L is the upper bound of this set. So, here we cannot get any upper bound of this set. So, here S is not bounded above. We cannot get any upper bound of this set. Okay. Now, all these are related to non-empty set. So, now the question is, what about an empty set? So, our next example is, suppose S is an empty set. Right. Then what happens? So, suppose empty set, generally empty set has no element. So, S has no upper bound. We assume that. Suppose this set, empty set, has no upper bound. So, at first we take any arbitrary real number. Let U be any arbitrary real number. Then, if possible, let U be not an upper bound of S. That is, no real number is an upper bound of this set. Then what happens? By the definition of upper bound, we can get a member X in S such that X exceeds this U, that is X greater than U. We can get a member X which is greater than this member. As U is not an upper bound, so we get a member which is larger than U. But S is an empty set, so there is no element in S. So, but there is no element in S, as S is empty. So, it becomes a contradiction. Therefore, or hence, every real number is an upper bound of the empty set S. Similarly, we can prove that every real number is a lower bound of S. Therefore, the empty set S has an upper bound and a lower bound. Furthermore, it has infinitely many upper bound and lower bound. But I want to say that since S has both upper bound and lower bound, therefore S is bounded. So, we conclude that empty set is bounded, is a bounded set. Next we come to this point, what is a least upper bound or supremum of a set? So at first let S be a subset of R which is bounded above. So S is a subset of R, let S be a subset of R which is bounded above. Then an upper bound of S is called the least upper bound or supremum if it is less than every other upper bound of S. An upper bound of S is called a least upper bound or supremum, least upper bound or supremum of S if it is less than every other upper bound of S. In other words, we can say suppose this denote the whole set S, and since S is bounded above, suppose this is an upper bound, okay, this is an upper bound M, then M is called the least upper bound or supremum of S if we slightly shift M in the left side, M minus epsilon, where this epsilon is a positive length, that is epsilon greater than 0, any arbitrary positive length, positive number. So if we shift M in the left side, then we can get a member of this set S. Suppose this is our S set S where Y belongs to S, such that Y less equal to M. Since M is an upper bound, by the definition of upper bound we get this, and also M minus epsilon less than Y, that is if it holds, that is I am writing here, okay, the least upper bound of a set S or supremum is denoted as sup S. So sup S equal to M, we can say sup S equal to M if number 1, M is an upper bound of this set, that is X is less than equal to M for all X belongs to S, and number 2 is for any epsilon greater than 0, that is for any positive length, there exists a member Y depending on this epsilon, there exists a member Y in S such that M minus epsilon less than Y less than equal to M, this holds, okay. So we can say this. Now similar result, or similarly we can say what is the greatest lower bound or infimum. Okay, before discussing this point, I want to we say that upper supremum of a set exist uniquely. But there are so many upper bound. If a set S has an upper bound, then there are infinitely many upper bounds of S, but supremum always exists uniquely if it exists. Next, greatest lower bound. Or infimum. So similarly, let S be a subset of R, which is bounded below. Then a lower bound of S is called the greatest lower bound. Here this is the, since list supremum and infimum exist uniquely, so we use the let S this holds, then a lower bound of S is called the greatest lower bound or infimum if it is greater than every other lower bound of S. And also I write the second part. If this is our S set, this is lower bound, that is infimum of a set is denoted in this way, inf of S. So inf S equal to small m if number 1, m is a lower bound. First criteria, m has to be a lower bound, that is x greater or equal to m for all x belongs to S. And number 2, suppose this is small m, then we shift m in the right portion, that is m plus epsilon, where epsilon is a positive length. Then we get a member Z of the set S, this is our S set, such that m less equal to Z less than m plus epsilon. This Z depends on epsilon. That is, we get the member of S Z which totally depend on epsilon. So for all epsilon greater than 0, there exists Z belongs to S, Z depends on epsilon, such that m less than equal to Z less than m plus epsilon. Okay, so this holds. So next we come to the supremum property of R. Every non-empty subset of R that is bounded above has a supremum or least upper bound. And the infimum property of R is every non-empty subset of R that is bounded below has an infimum or greatest lower bound. Now we assume this supremum property of R as LUB axiom and call it as the completeness property of R. Then we treat the infimum property of R as a theorem. Okay, so we assume that the supremum property of R as LUB axiom and call it as the completeness property of R, and we prove this infimum property as a theorem, or we treat it as a theorem. Now the final point which I want to tell, that if our given set S is a finite non-empty set, then subspace and infspace both exist in S. Okay. So in case of a finite non-empty subset of R, notice finite non-empty subset of R, supremum and infimum both exist in that set, and we call the supremum as maximum number or maximum element of S, and the infimum will be called as the minimum of S. So in case of finite non-empty set, a set has maximum and minimum, right? So in case of infinite set, this maximum and minimum of a set, this concept is totally wrong. So a set S has maximum and minimum if it is finite non-empty set, because only in case of a finite non-empty set we can get maximum and minimum member of this set. Okay, so today's discussion is complete here. Now in our next classes we shall discuss about the remaining properties, that is Archimedean property and density property, and many more important topics. So keep watching, and thanks to everyone.